I have gone for this, the BMW M4, a two-door coupe, and it's not usually my style. I usually like the four-door, it's easier to get in and out of, but this is superb. And with this one, we've got quite a few of the carbon fibre options as well. So the rear spoiler, the rear lip here is carbon fibre, the roof's carbon fibre, as are the side skirts down at the bottom. You've got wonderfully clear displays. The dials are white on a sort of matte grey. And then you've got all the displays underneath. So you've got the M logo, you've got the how many miles you can go for the next fill up, you've got your actual digital speedo as well as your normal speedo as well. You've even got LED lights on the rev counter, and that is quite a nice little setup. You've got the adjustable buttons here for things like the traction control, suspension, steering, so you can tune those individually. So if I push the suspension button, we can put it into the different modes. We've also got gear change controls, we've got all the usual M features and functions. The thing I love about BMW these days is you've got this standardized interior. So you're at home, whichever one you go into. You've got the carbon fibre surround, you have the wonderful leather stitching, and you have so many other things as well that are typical BMW. Everything is just so well put together. You have the wonderful M logos in the seats, you've got all the quilting, it's incredibly firm, holds you in place nicely. It's an amazing little car. I say little, it's quite large. The things I love, you can open the boot from the key fob, which many cars can do now, but it's just so nice to have be able to push the button and the whole thing lifts and you've got access there straight away. There's no faffing about lifting things up. But there are a few oddities that I find with the interior. You have the cup holders in the front, but you have this cover over the top. And what do you do with it? Well, you put it in the glove box. Okay, the glove box is nice and big, but in some of the other cars, you've got this nice sliding cover that goes out of the way. And it does make me wonder, why haven't we got it in this particular car? Having said that, that is a bit of a nitpicky thing to worry about. In all other respects, this is a fantastic vehicle. We have 425 brake horsepower from the engine, a 3-litre petrol. This one does 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. We have all the wonderful M series refinements. You've got the fantastically aggressive front end, sculpted wing mirrors which channel the air perfectly, and well, it's just such a fantastic place to be in. You have the cubby holes, all the usual cubby holes. You have the phone charging ports in there. You have connection for the stereo. It's sort of typical for any car these days, but there's something about the way that BMW do these things. It's done with attention to detail, something you don't necessarily get with other manufacturers, not naming people like Ford. Yes, it's all black in here. You've got the black roof lining, everything is black. However, it's not gloomy. Because you've got these brakes with the brushed aluminium here, you've got the carbon fibre, which is a sort of a lighter grey weave in with a darker grey. So it's not completely overwhelming with the darkness. And also, the grey on the displays actually sets it off quite nicely. You don't feel like you're in an enclosed cabin. There's plenty of of legroom in the back. You even have a little cubby hole for the rear passengers. Of course, you do sacrifice a middle seat there, so you only have 4 people in this car rather than 5, which you'd normally expect in a car of this size. But to be fair, for the number of times you have people in the back, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Quite often with cars, you wind up when you've got 5 people in there, the middle person's a bit squashed up. So it's not really that big a deal. You know, your friends will have their own transport anyway. Let them try and keep up with you. The stereo is fantastic. It's brilliant quality. One thing I do like about BMW, when you're pulling the bonnet catch, rather than having to pull the catch, go outside, find the little thing under the bonnet and then lift it up, you pull the bonnet catch, or the bonnet lever, twice. So you pull the first time to undo the bonnet, the second time to undo the catch, so that you can then open the thing up, which I think is really, really good. Another thing that I like is the fact that the heads-up display doesn't seem too close to you. You can look at the heads-up display, but you're not actually losing focus with what's in front of you. It's just nicely positioned. It's almost as if it's deliberately placed partway in the road where your eyes should be. So you're not having to take your eyes off the road or change your focus all the time. The information's right there where you need it. So usual BMW dynamics, we've got some fantastic information with the onboard computer. We have quite a few little optional extras as well. We have the xenon headlights, the M Performance Pro Pack on this one. Sat nav is in as standard. The display is nice, clear and precise, plus, as we mentioned as well, the heads-up display. The heads-up display is also configurable as well, so you can add information on like speed limits and things like that. Overall, it's a brilliant car. There's very little I can actually say I could even point out as wrong. Yes, I prefer 4 doors, especially getting the kids in and out of, but even in this, it's not a problem. The actual seats, when you put them down, do fold quite far down, so you've got brilliant access to the back, and there's plenty of leg room as well. So, yeah, I quite enjoy this car. I would actually argue, in a few ways, but don't tell Martin, better than the M3. But it's your decisions as to what you actually get. I love the coupe look from the outside, and I do like the black and white contrast as well. There's also a black M4 that's here as well, and that's just as good in every other way. It doesn't have the contrast, obviously, with the black and white that this has, but it does have a pretty menacing look. So even if you're not keen on the black and white and wanted something that was black and menacing, you can get it, and you can even get it from these guys as well, here at NK in Cross and Moor. Steering controls quite precise, so we've got things like the cruise control. We have a little bit as well on phone activation and volume control. And what else do we have? We have the flappy paddles, and we also have a manual adjusting of the steering column. Electric would have been nice, but this particular one is a 2014 model, so it probably wasn't in the range at that point. So this is a 4-year-old car, and considering it is 4-year-old, it literally feels like literally looks and feels like it's about 4 days old. It's worn well. We've got just short of 60,000 miles on the clock, and it doesn't feel to have worn at all. Everything feels as it should do for such a car. There's no markings on the leather. It's worn well. I've known cars that have been this age and you've got all sorts of problems coming up on the cars, but this one has worn well, and for the price you can't really go wrong. A nice sculpted dash, familiar BMW display where you'd expect it to be. An absolutely glorious car. I really cannot fault it in any way at all.